Ever wanted a slasher movie with no musical score, entire scenes of the killer just walking, and almost all the victims are literal background characters until they die? Seriously, like, do you actually want that? Obviously, not everyone's going to want a more artsy version of Friday the 13th. Hell, there are art house fans who will hate the way this is executed. Did I seriously write that? Anyways, and while there are things I would have done different, In a Violent Nature lives up to its title and demands to be seen on the big screen for the kills alone. Showing the movie from the killer Johnny... Yeah, that's his name. Showing most of the movie from Johnny's perspective has many advantages. There are no jump scares or false alarms, and every kill is built up with the sounds of Johnny's footsteps and the longer takes of him sneaking up on his prey. Using a 4:3 aspect ratio simultaneously makes the film look like a vintage slasher, makes each forest look massive in scope, and makes you feel boxed in following the killer on his journey. And the tone keeps you on your toes the way Johnny goes from a soothing nature walk that's still pretty suspenseful as you're constantly looking for someone to walk into the frame, to brutally hunting a target. And it's got a sense of humor that acknowledges how jarring the gritty tone and cheesy plot can be and fully embraces it to the point where Johnny using a body to break into a house twice isn't even the weirdest part. The ambient sound design not only feels more real, but also more terrifying because it helps you focus on Johnny's actions playing out, and every sound echoing in wide open space makes the victim seem more helpless and their screams even more intense. The only problem direction-wise is when the kills are at night, it's really hard to see, and it's not often I can tell you that things are scarier in the daylight. Speaking of, let's just get to the best part. The kills in this are fucking awesome. Creatively and effects-wise, 3 of them rank as some of the best I've ever seen. The Yoka kill everyone's talking about online. Once it was over, my entire theater clapped for it, myself included, because I still have no idea how they even accomplished that on such a small budget. And there's one involving a rock to the head done to look like one unbroken shot that was equally impressive, and makes you realize there are some digital effects applied in spots, but the majority of this is still full-on practical prosthetics, and I had one question for the actors once this movie was over. I'm very curious. How is it seeing the practical effects on set versus like seeing what happens to other characters or yourselves on screen? Like, how does it feel in comparison?
Well, when you look at it like piece by piece, you're like, how the hell is this gonna work? There was an instance, like I saw a video, I wasn't on the cliff sequence, but I saw a video of Nash hooking up Charlotte's rig, and as they're pumping the blood, like one of the tubes burst and the blood splattered like this was like paintball forest blood splattering on his face. I was like, whoa, how's this gonna
And he
work?
was so happy about it. It was cool. I'd say, so when I witnessed Cam's death, when he's just like bashing his head in again and again and again, our director, Nash, he was like, yeah, so just, be freaked out about it. And I'm watching it happen and I'm like, no, this is fucking terrifying. So that wasn't acting. No, but they were so like, the practical effects, they're just so talented. I mean, you guys just watched the film. That's what it looks like in real life. And I think that's just a testament to how it relayed on screen. Yeah.
One of our celebrity prosthetic artists was Steven Kostansky, who did The Void and Psycho Gorman, and he was phenomenal. It was amazing.
That said, I think they blew their best kills before the finale because the last 2 go on for way too damn long, and one in particular where it looks like they're gonna bone tomahawk a guy, and if you've seen Bone Tomahawk, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They were actually supposed to, and it would have been awesome, but at the last second, the producers pulled the director aside and said, we don't have the money to do this over again, and we've already spilled enough blood. We can't do it in this one shot, so might as well just skip to the last routine. Now, there's no point in talking character development considering the victims in this are all written like typical slasher kids who smoke weed, get horny, and act like total shitheads to each other. The 3 that stand out the most are, and I'm going to feel like a dick if I get this wrong because I actually interviewed all 3 of these guys. Andrea Pavlovic, Cameron Love, and especially Reese Presley all stand out because they encounter Johnny the most, and Presley's backstory is actually tied to him. And not gonna lie, I would have liked to have known at least one camper's backstory beyond who's dating who so I could be more scared for them, but at the same time, the movie's filmed to put yourself in their shoes and be scared that they don't know who's behind them, and when the actors scream in fear or pain, you really feel the intensity of it. But obviously the star of the show is Ry Barrett as Johnny. There's more backstory to his motive than I was anticipating that makes you understand where his rage comes from, but you still fear him because of that rage. He kills people who have done nothing to him, and to call what he does overkill, again, would be a massive understatement. This guy chops off more heads than Henry VIII and Ari Aster combined. There are a couple scenes where it breaks its own rules by telling the story from the camper's point of view, and somehow all of these scenes move slower than Johnny's walks. In all fairness, both scenes were necessary to the plot, but they're drawn out way more than they needed to be. One of them is Johnny's backstory told through a series of never-ending 360 shots that got on my nerves real fast, and the other, unfortunately, was the actual climax that is going to split more people than Johnny does, because, no spoilers, it's not really a finale. There's a monologue that gives us the metaphorical meaning behind why it ends the way it does, and it's not a bad monologue, but for a movie that had a lot of visual storytelling, this felt like a ghost story where they ruined the metaphors that they were already showing towards us, and I would have liked a more quiet and violent ending, considering how good the kills were before, but it doesn't take away from the fact that as a cinematic experiment, this was a glorious bloodbath to see on the big screen. The kills were imaginative, they used their budget wisely in a way that no one else does, and the performances, while they could have been utilized a lot better, were still good for what they were. And I really hope I get to see these actors in future projects, because just getting to meet them at the premiere was exciting. And the fact that this is the only Ontario premiere for this film is just wild to me. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm here with a few of the actors from In a Violent Nature, which I gotta say, congratulations. It was a really good film, and like I said right before filming, seeing actors just so excited for premieres just makes them all the more exciting. Like, I've been for a few at TIFF, and this honestly felt like one right in my backyard, so that's even better. And just to echo a question that I had earlier, what was worse, seeing the practical effects play out on set or in front of a big screen in a crowd?
What was worse? It was the same, because our team was just so incredible. Steve Kasansky, that's so horrible.
No, you
Kasansky?
got it.
I think one of you guys got the name
Yeah.
right. Like, I heard you say it over and over.
I had to practice it so many
I
times.
know.
I believe
Right.
that. I have to
get
practice.
nervous.
I have to practice names doing these videos.
I'm just a huge fan. I get flustered every time I see
Just
your
say the
name.
Oh, I feel you.
And Chris Nash, and like he helped as well. He was very hands-on, but just it's a testament to their work, because seeing it in person is just how it looked on screen.
That's amazing. And a lot of people ask how well versed you guys were in horror movies. How well versed are you guys in more artistic avant-garde movies like this? Because that's always a weird subject. Some actors really love them. Some of them are. You mentioned your older brother was more into mainstream horror movies. Like, what's your take on it?
I started in weird indie shit, so I love it. Like, I love anything new and different, and anything that subverts your expectations about film or art. But what about you guys?
Well, when he told me about the film, he's like, okay, so it's gonna be a slasher film, but you're gonna be in the background, and the monster's gonna be the focus. I'll be like, all right, yeah, that sounds great.
I'm really curious. How was it anticlimactic at first, or were you instantly on board with the idea?
I was on board.
I was on board, yeah.
As soon as he said, you don't have to say anything, it's amazing.
Oh my god.
All right, you got to wrap it up, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. It was wonderful to
Thank you.
be and experience the movie hands-on. Check out In a Violent Nature, like, in theaters if you can, but like, if you gotta wait for Shudder, like, do it on day one. Just do yourselves a favor.